looks like I got all this paperwork here. The last time I was with Don, I was going to talk to you and we're going to have you come up and do a mission with us, but you were down in Columbus doing, some lawsuit because of this Scott. So did you guys Well, it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and you were doing this, when you subpoena, you had to go down and talk to somebody. He says he's going to be tied up for 3 or 4 days. He said, I tried to get a hold of him. He's busy. And I said, well, that's no big thing. I said, Mike knows what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to show him my iPad. He's going to say several bits. And then he's going to go back down there and he's going to get his ship cleaned up again. He only did about 55% of what you requested. She is backyard. I'm going to show you pictures. I'm going to take them, and you can go down to Ed Rand's and you can walk up there and see. It's just a joke. Well, thank you for getting the car out of there. Yeah, I know that. I know. His garage is the same way. The shed, you cannot open the door. You will never get a shovel. Frank Poser lives there? Yeah. Is there anything for me on that? That's yours, because I've seen suckers in your mouth. How are you? Hey, you got this thing all figured out? That's right. Yeah, I don't remember.
For Wednesday.
We're always at the school right now.
Well, we're taking this.
Yeah, I know.
You come here, taking the fire truck, taking
We're
your
doing the POW flagpole and all the ceremony.
my guys will sit.
I guess Nick, if he's here, probably.
Yeah, right here.
I'll let you know.
What?
I'll give you that chair.
Oh, thanks, Bart.
You right there, I think.
Would everyone take their seats, please?
Louder. Mayor, louder.
Hello. I don't think my mic's working. Yeah? Good.
Mr.
All right.
Willis, can you hear? You do it again, Mayor.
All right, this is a test. There we go. Now we got a mic. Thank you for coming. Welcome to our October 22nd council meeting. Evidently, nobody got the memo about wearing Halloween costumes tonight, so that's okay. Mrs. Arcisi, would you please start the meeting by calling the roll?
Ms. Darrow. Here. Mr. Engel.
Here.
Ms. Hannikin.
Here.
Mr. Molnar.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
I would like to ask everyone to please stand, remove your hats, while we have our council president, Rita Darrow, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, after which resident Terry Hudak will lead us in prayer.
Our most precious Heavenly Father, I humbly come before you this evening, asking you to open up the hearts and the mind of everyone in this world. Washington, D.C. with the Senate and the Congress, and people in the city of Macedonia and all around. You gave us commandments to live by, dear God. You gave us the 10 commandments to live by. You said you do unto others as you have them do unto you. You love one another as I love you. Father, people would only practice these commandments and the rules that you have bestowed on us. This world would be a better place, and we know it's not much longer for the way that is going, with the way that people are with each other, our Father God. Our Father, we do ask you to bless the mayor and his family and the council and their families, to put your blessing on all the heads of the departments and the fire department and the police department who sacrifice their lives for us. And also, dear God, we want to ask a blessing on each and every single individual in this room and all of their families. And dear God, we all know that you know what it's like to be a human being, because you were one yourself and you know what it's all about. So again, I humbly ask that you will open up the hearts and the minds of each and every individual. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Terry. Nice job. God even liked it. Send us a message. All right, next on the agenda is the minutes of the September 24th meeting, 2015. Do I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept those meetings as submitted by the clerk of council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have the financial report. Do I have a motion to receive it?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to receive the financial report dated September 30th, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We're going to move now into comments by the public. We've got quite a list tonight, a lot of comments, so please try and hold your comments to 5 minutes. We ask those who would like to comment to come here to the microphone at the front. Please state your name and your address, and 5 minutes, please. We've got a lot of people wanting to speak tonight. John Matajasic is first. John?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start off with a line from Dr. Phil that is past behavior is a useful marker and the best predictor of future behavior. This is where those red flags pop up that our mothers, fathers, and grandparents warned us about. It will all come together in a minute or so bear with me. I realize how busy people are, but I cannot stress enough how important it is for voters of this city to do their due diligence and get the facts and make informed decisions based on truth and not false and misleading statements, along with social media propaganda being put out there by a few select people running for office. I'm going to say Joe Migliarini is by far Macedonia's most theatrical and self-promoting part-time resident around. Having lived here since 1986, it was no secret when Joe resigned in 2001 that he left under a cloud of suspicion. I have come to believe that Joe could be that common denominator of the dysfunctional culture within our city government we see today. I would like to share a letter from the Akron Beaker Journal that is quite enlightening. This letter was sent to Joe Migliarini on November 9, 1995. I was tempted to extend sincere congratulations to your re-election victory, but having seen the way in which your campaign literature distorted the Beacon Journal's editorial recommendation for the Macedonia's mayor race, I will resist. I'm attaching the flyer in your behalf that we saw. By quoting selectively from our editorial, you violated our copyright and our policy on reprints, which was clearly stated on the same day and the same page in which our editorial was published. I cannot imagine that you missed the policy reminder. Even if you had, you surely knew that what you were doing in your literature was misleading and deceptive. Your selective quote and failure to inform those who received the literature that the paper had recommended your opponent was a perfect example of why we have long had our policy on political reprints. I am disturbed by your apparent lack of integrity in taking such an action. I resent the extent to which your wrongful use of our material may have misled any of the good people in Macedonia about your newspaper. We gave serious consideration to recommending your reelection until we saw some of your other campaign material, your outrageous misuse of our editorial, contrary to our policy and in a manner calculated to deceive its recipients. It's stark reaffirmation that we made the right choice in our recommendation. Sincerely, David Cooper from the Akron Beacon Journal. Also, what we have is a flyer currently from Mayor Miglerini going around, and it has some pretty outrageous claims. First one was created the first comprehensive road repair and stormwater management program. Really, I have been hearing for 5 years that the city has flooding issues that are 15 to 20 plus years old that still need to be addressed. Second one is increased residential property values. I don't know, the rate at which property values went up was in line with the national average, but if I recall correctly, a little lower than some surrounding areas. So those are quite misleading statements. He currently has the city and his HOA in a lawsuit with a resident over a lot split in his development off Shepherd Road that has cost the taxpayers, from what I gather, well over $100,000 so far, and it appears to be far from over. It is also common knowledge that Miglerini put a retired decorated vet through the ringer over flying an American flag. This gentleman put his life on the line to defend this country, and no one, and I mean no one, including Joe Miglerini, has the right to prevent him from doing so. Miglerini's actions have shown complete disrespect for the very people that deserve our thanks for protecting our freedoms. For all our veterans and their families, take note of the motives. It's no coincidence. Being a longtime resident, I want to see the city move in a forward direction, not back in time where this cultural dysfunction was cultivated and where it has manifested itself into what we see today. Now to Kevin Bilkey. He has proven that he could not be trusted with our HOA money and the duties of our fiduciary as a HOA president. On March 4, 2015, at our annual HOA meeting, Kevin Bilkey was asked where all our HOA money went. Kevin Bilkey reluctantly informs us that he lost $10,000 plus to a landscaper back in June of 2014. He also openly admitted that he had personal dealings with the landscaper on work done in his backyard. Mr. Bilkey then openly admitted that he had no authority to build a patio, but the real kicker was his response to the residents' anger. It was, "What are you upset about? It only cost each one of you $300. His admissions proved that the information I provided and presented back on 9/15/14 to the mayor, planning commission, building department, and city council was 100% factual. Connect the dots. But the real loss is to the residents of Lake Forest State that now have a realized loss of $38,000 and a patio built on property we don't even own. I want to add that Rita Darrow was the only responsible planning member to read the supporting documents along with the email written by Kevin himself that stated he did not have consent to build a patio. I asked that people take the time to view the 9/15/14 planning meeting video to see how Bilkey attacked Rita Darrow because she voted to table the project based on documentation that contradicted Kevin's verbal claims.
We're at the time limit, John. Could you wrap it up, please?
We're already at that time? Well, I got one last thing to say. So we're driving around Macedonia and surrounding areas. Hey. I know I forgot I'm not doing it.
All right. All right. Next, we have Kevin Bilkey. Kevin?
Thank you. I'll be brief. Just to respond, which I really don't want to. In March of 2015, I did have to tell the people of Lake Forest State that a landscaping company, Pro Lawn, went out of business and withdrew our deposit. That's the truth. But let you know that in May of 2015, they reelected me for the third time to serve on their board of the HOA board. That's not the reason why I'm here tonight. The reason why I'm here tonight is to wish everybody who's running good luck. You know, this has been a process for me that's been exciting, challenging, nerve-wracking. But the worst part about it is there's so much anger in this community that needs to be tabled as soon as this election's over. We need to start building and mending relationships. I'm thankful for the Macedonian unions to come out and support and endorse me. I said on my website since May that there was a problem with the city council and the mayor, and I'm thankful that they stood behind me and listened to what they had to say. I think they're here tonight to speak too. I also want to point out that there's a lot of road work going on. I know where I live in Lake Forest Estates, Shepherd Road South is closed, and we have to take a alternate route to get to our voting polls. So just to make sure that we know where we're going. It is an important election. And not only are we electing council people, mayor, school board, we're voting on charters. So I hope everyone knows the importance and gets out and vote. The finish, I just hope that we all remember that we're all part of the same community, Macedonia, Nordonia Hills. And no matter what, win or lose, I'm not going to be changed by this. I'm not going to be changed by John Metatasic, who, for 3 years now is the biggest troublemaker in town. So it is what it is, but I stand proud of what I've done in Lake Forest Estates, and I will stand proud after 4 years of serving as your city councilman. So thank you for your time tonight. Thanks.
Next, we have Jan Tully. Jan?
Good evening. I am Jan Tully. I come to you tonight as a resident and a taxpayer in this city. This is a sad, sad, sad statement of our city. Since 1989, I have voted in the elections, and this is the first time that a coward creeps through the night and puts notes into residents' mailboxes and newspaper boxes. How cowardly not to sign your name. One had information that Councilman Molnar stated during a council meeting. That information was obtained by Scott Svob's record request to the City of Greene, the details of which were never discussed during that meeting. Did Scott Svob write the notes and distribute them? Or is a person responsible for the untruths being distributed willing to step up forward like a man or a woman? I'd also like to let you know I run the streets. I'm finding them all over the place, on the ground, in the ditch, in the grates. So one of them says, clean up Macedonia. Whoever's doing this, clean up Macedonia. Also during my council campaign, and even through this year, Mr. Havlicek, a resident who is an avid Hannikin Darrell supporter, has told lies and innuendos about me. My ex-neighbor, as well as Mr. Molnar, and others have been told by Mr. Havlicek that I have skeletons, that they're going to come out. Well, let me state, I didn't get charged with back taxes and go to court. I didn't get charged with domestic abuse and reduce it to disorderly conduct. I didn't get taken to court for not paying my bills. I didn't get caught trespassing in a city office and advised by the city magistrate to cease and desist. I didn't get caught trying to fix a road ticket. And I was not supported by someone suing the city. All of these skeletons are facts related to 3 candidates, Darrell, Hannikin, Miller, and for Mr. Havlicek. Ms. Hannikin, I'm appalled that you continue to state erroneously that the investigation into Scott Svob started after you and your partners decided to no longer pay a retainer to the Little City Law Department. Newsflash, Cleveland.com. That investigation began in 2012, 2 years before Ms. Hannikin took office. And the savings for the law department, another newsflash, our $65,000 retainer was replaced so far this year by $96,000 budget. And as of today, that's almost all spent. So we're going to have some bills that are unpaid, and we still have 2 months to go. I'm offended by the 3 amigos, stating that they vote independently and work with the administration. However, the amigos vote together about 95% of the time. And tonight, why do I make these statements here? Because the 3 amigos cannot call a motion to adjourn and stifle my right to speak. They did that last meeting. When I got stifled last week, it was to comment on a city issue, not on politics. Ms. Hannigan and Ms. Darrell, stop the posturing, egotistical, paranoid behavior, and get to focusing on the residents in this city. If you cannot, then please resign now, so you can continue to focus on your campaign, and the rest of us can take Macedonia back for every household. We need to focus on the job at hand. Thank you.
Next on the list is Janet Susek. Janet?
Hi, my name is Janet Susak. I live on Riverview Drive. I've been a resident here in Macedonia probably for about 46 years. We raised our kids here, and it's been a fantastic community. I'm only here because of my granddaughter, who's 9 years old. I asked her last week if she would go to the mailbox and get the mail for me. She comes back in, and she has this postcard. And she goes, "Grandma, a circus is coming to town." I said, "Kaylin, what the hell are you talking about?" And she goes, "Look, Grandma, a circus is coming to town." And the only thing she saw was, "Don't let the circus continue." I said, "Kaylin, let Grandma explain this to you, what's going on in the city." She goes, "Oh, you don't have to do that because we had elections at our school at St. Albert's." And she says, "I know what happens in those elections." I said, "Well, what happens, Kaylin?" She goes, "Well, the person that got nominated," she said, "won the election because everybody else brought suckers and she brought cupcakes. So the person that brought the cupcakes won the election." I said, "Kaylin, that's really not how it should be." But after that, she said, "Grandma, you've got to say something at a meeting." And so I did. I took some time and I wrote this letter. Mrs. Hannigan, I would like to address you and your campaign specifically. Recently, I have received 4 articles on illegal campaign propaganda in my mailbox attempting to defame Joe Miglerini and Nick Molnar. These flyers were simply signed as Macedonia resident and distributed to the community over 7 to 10 days by being placed illegally into my mailbox and all over the city of Macedonia. Here are several of these that some of you did not receive these because I think only the people that had signs in their yards got the postcards. And it's like Joe being in Florida, Joe being over here, Joe the Joe. So additionally, signs for Mr. Miglerini, Molnar, and Bilkey have been removed throughout the city despite having the permission of the property owner to be placed. This most recently occurred on the evening of Monday, October 19th. Fortunately, the signs were recovered when there was camera footage of the theft. Did you know about this since a police report was made, Ms. Hannigan?
Ma'am, you're talking about something I have nothing to do with, including those flyers. So just, if you're asking me a question, the answer is I have nothing to do with any of this. And I certainly think that your statements that I have something to do with it are not based on anything that you know, but I just find this whole thing.
Okay, let me continue, all right? Thank you. You sure got the message quickly about a resident having a conversation with an off-duty officer displaying his freedom of speech. The police were called and the man removing the signs admitted to removing them. He is believed to be a supporter of yours. You have spent time addressing so-called rumors on your Facebook page that supposedly came from your opponent. However, did not come denouncing these flyers on the messages they represent. Why is that?
Listen, I do not respond to every wild-ass rumor out here, and there are a lot of them. Now listen, ma'am. You're saying that I've done something that I haven't done, period.
Now, I haven't said you've done your...
Yeah, you have. You've stated all kinds of things here tonight.
Okay.
Nothing to do with, and sitting there and reading that doesn't change any of that.
Okay.
If we can
I think you
move
made
on,
a
please.
statement.
Thanks, Don.
I think you made a statement of endorsing the flyers by not addressing them. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It is my understanding that Mr. Miglerini made you aware of the flyers in person after a debate. Therefore, you knew the flyers were out there and chose not to reject the messages they continued. Finally, 2 weeks ago, during a council meeting, the mayor asked if there was any more city business to be discussed. You took the opportunity to sit in your elected seat and use it as a means to announce and endorse and to address more rumors about your intentions. I feel this was not the time nor place to address such issues as you are an elected officer being paid for by the taxpayers. Campaigning should be done on your own time. How do you plan to run the entire city of Macedonia if you are elected, when you clearly cannot even control those who support your campaign and you use your forum for the political gain? If you are going to say I can't control every one of my supporters, then why would you choose to denounce the 4 flyers you were aware of being distributed around town? I'm embarrassed from it. Also, if one more thing I have to say here, I said, there's also an understanding.
Sorry, Janet.
You know what?
Let's move on to next on the list. Next on the list is Brian Vince.
Hello, I'm Brian Vince. I am the delegate for the OPBA, which represents the police officers patrolling of Macedonia.
And I'm Kim Sutton. I represent the dispatchers.
I'm Vince Danko. I'm a sergeant. I represent the sergeants.
I'm Rod Lewis, Lieutenant with Macedonia Fire Department, Local 3947.
I'm Angelo Margarello and represent the Service Department, Local 436. And just to let you know, leaf season started this week, and I've been sucking those flyers up out of the ditches left and right.
Well, the reason we decided to come up here today is there's been a lot of speculation reference the letter endorsing mayoral candidate Joseph Miglerini and council candidates Nick Molnar and Kevin Bilkey. For example, I saw on Mr. Bilkey's Facebook page where Kurt Laubinger called the endorsement a farce because it wasn't signed. My OPBA rep, Randy Weltman, also received a letter from David Milstein, who I believe is Ms. Darrell's boyfriend, specifically verifying that the letter was legitimate. Even though some members of council believe that we as unions, we as employees of Macedonia don't have a voice, when we are off duty on our own time, we still have the First Amendment right to speak what we want to speak. So, we just wanted to come up here and read our signed letter now. For the first time in its long history, the Macedonia Police, Service, Fire, and Dispatch unions have voted to endorse political candidates for the upcoming November 2015 mayoral and city council election. In an unprecedented show of unity, the Macedonia Police, Service, Fire, and Dispatch unions have unanimously voted to endorse mayoral candidate Joseph Miglerini, along with council candidates Nick Molnar and Kevin Bilkey. The unions believe that the disconnect between the current administration and city council is of great concern and is based solely on political agendas and coalition voting instead of coming together and doing what is the best interest of the city. The unions believe that Macedonia needs leaders who are open to the discussion of new and diverse suggestions and who possess ideas and goals designed for the betterment and enrichment of our city. We believe that Miglerini, Molnar, and Bilkey are such leaders. So again, that is basically what we came up here for. Like I said, it's unprecedented. You know, we stuck our necks out, basically, because if things don't go the way we chose to vote, it could be trouble for us, but we believe it was very necessary. We've seen for the last 2 to 3 years, like I said, the disconnect between the mayor and council. We see it's trying to keep my calm here. The general disrespect that some members of council showed towards our mayor and Ms. Tully and Mr. Molnar is egregious and disgusting. I mean, we watched last week at the council meeting where Ms. Hannikin got up and gave her little speech about how some union in some county backed her. and then all of a sudden the meeting's adjourned. Last time I checked, I believe the mayor adjourned the meetings, not even giving Ms. Tully and Mr. Molinar a chance to speak. You know, we hear that, you know, we didn't give them a chance, we don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on better than we do. We are here, we see everything, not some Facebook blogger, not some friend of the candidates. The unions of Macedonia, the employees of Macedonia, the people that have a stake in the city of Macedonia know what's going on. So all we ask is that you guys, instead of finding or blindly following somebody, educate yourselves and know what you're doing. Thank you.
Next on the list is Nate Falkenstein. Nate?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Nate Falkenstein. I'm of 1182 Mid-Court. I'm sad to say I'm not here to talk about the election, SVOB, the law department, lawsuits, or other disputes going on in the city. But I will apologize to Ms. Tully because I don't know that I can be as eloquent as you in what I'm about to say. I'd like to start by saying I'm a bit embarrassed to be standing here today, but not nearly as embarrassed as you should be sitting up there. You see, I haven't attended many council meetings in the past, which is why I'm ashamed. If you're not aware of the reasons you should be ashamed, I'll be happy to enlighten you on some of the things I've noticed in the past meeting. Sylvia, Rita, and David, I was witness to an extremely unproductive, unprofessional, and frankly a downright childish display at the last meeting. You consistently state that you were always working together as a team. However, it was never more evident of the contrary at the last meeting. When the topic came around to the city budget, the question was asked by Mr. Molnar as to what the date and if it could be changed. You showed just how little you were willing to work together by giving short and abrasive answers. Nothing was accomplished as Mr. Molnar and Ms. Tully attempted to simply ask additional questions for clarification when the three of you decided you'd had enough. I also had to see an extremely selfish, shameless, and overtly rude waste of everyone's time during our city council meeting so that you, Sylvia, could promote yourself by bringing up endorsements and other political moves that were in no way related to anything pertinent to the city or the taxpayers of Macedonia. When you were up there, I ask that you respect those who you represent and those who voted for you and put you there in that seat and keep to the task at hand. Finally, I'd like to address the selfish act at the end of the meeting when Rita, Sylvia quickly called the meeting, and of course, David, you agreed. You all stood up and walked away. This is the clearest evidence of the cancer that has taken over this city council. The fact that you can say you work together is no less than a slap in the face to every person in this city that lives here or works here. Thank you.
Next on the list is Bobby Paul. Bobby?
Right here. Bobby Paul, 1127 Thistle Ridge Drive. Actually, I'm here to address the ordinance regarding the off-highway motorcycles and all-purpose vehicles. But I think I'll also comment on the ugliness of the words that I hear coming from these people's mouth. All of you. You heard the prayer tonight, didn't you? Did any one of you listen to it? Where was this group formed? Where did you all come from? Why are you tagging all of these people as being evil and no good? They're just trying to do a job for Macedonia. Oh, is that hysterical? Is that so very funny? Do you find that outrageously funny? Yes. Don't tell me to sit down just to watch all this.
Can we keep this to city business, please, Bobby?
You know, Mayor, you have to admit what's going on here is wrong, and you have a gavel. You should use it. She is.
There's the first.
After 5 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And then secondly, this is a question. Is this the place for people to do campaigning? At this mic here? Is this the place?
No, it's not.
Then why is it being allowed?
It was allowed up here last week.
I wouldn't know. Well, I didn't like it then either.
It was allowed last week.
Can we just state your your question, please, ma'am.
Why? Because I'm not speaking against the three. Are you so anxious for me to get off of this subject?
I don't
All right,
believe.
but I'll get back onto this, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, laugh, darling, laugh. Okay, anyhow, I think that all of us, even the people that live in the big ticket homes around here, their houses are probably not on more than a half acre or an acre of land. And I think that anyone having to listen to a motorcycle or a ATV, whatever they're called, go around and around and around for an hour or less or more is just not acceptable. This isn't the country, it's a city, unfortunately. And I just think that the amount of property that we own doesn't justify having these types of toys. So that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the list is Gene Kalinowski. Gene?
Gene Klonowski, 7861 Stone Ridge Road, and it's on the same subject of the ATVs and the motorcycles, and it's a 10-foot barrier you're putting up, but you're basically going right next to my house. I mean, we've had the problem for years back up there where kids are driving around on four-wheelers, and they turn their yard into a dirt track, and it's ridiculous. I mean, you have to listen to that all day. You're retired, you're home, you're trying to watch TV, you're trying to relax. It just doesn't work. I mean, you got little Joey decides he's going to ride his four-wheeler or his dirt bike around his house for a couple of hours. What are you supposed to do? Go to Walmart? Go out to farms. There's places you can go ride your ATVs. They have trails. You can go out in the country and have a ball all day long instead of disturbing your neighbors. I mean, we've had one incident in our neighborhood, just alone, the kid up the end of the street rode his little four-wheeler around for half a day. And I live 10 houses away from him, and it still was annoying. So you can imagine what the person next door felt like. So, I mean, that's all I have to say on the matter. I don't think it should be allowed on these little lots. I mean, if you're out in the country, that's one thing, but not in the city. It's just crazy. Thank you.
Next is Joe Skorupka. Joe.
Good evening. I'm Joe Skorupka, 8199 South Bedford Road. And I just want to make a plea to everyone. This is a very passionate election on both sides. I think we need to retain respect for all parties. We are all human beings. And we have to just stick with the facts and not have name-calling and innuendos, whether it's on the blog or here at this meeting. We're all trying to do the best for the city. And let's just all be realistic and be professional and not be childish about some of this, really. And earlier on, you talk about endorsements of Ms. Hennigan. Mr. Miglerini, about a month ago, started endorsements, and you can look at the videos when he was talking about elections and his support. So just to say Sylvia started it last week is incorrect. So check the videos, check the facts. So let's wish everyone a peaceful election, a common sense election, and let's just be respectful of everyone. We're all in this together. Whoever wins, the city's got to go forward. So let's work together, make it happen, and be adults about it. Thank you.
Next on the list is Dan Havlicek.
Is he there?
Because he is registered next.
My name is Dan Havlicek. I live on Shepherd Road. I don't think there's too many in this whole room that have been here much longer than me. That said, I want to point out something. In the Navy, if a captain runs a ship into the reef, they usually hang the captain. Not physically, but he definitely is removed. Okay? They always hold the captain responsible for whatever happens in the ship, because the captain took responsibility for the ship. I did a little arithmetic. Mr. Migliorini says he's 62. If you take 42 years off the 62, that would make him somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 19. Now, I did a little research with the people who have recruited people for many years, because I know a lot of them. You could get out of the draft if you had gang activity in high school. You could get kicked, if you got kicked out of school, you could avoid the draft also. If you flunked out of school, you could also avoid the draft.
What's your point?
If your daddy signed a letter and sent it to the draft board and said, hey, my son is absolutely necessary to run this company, you could also get a deferment.
What does this have to do with the city?
This kind of stuff is childish kindergarten. I expected this from kindergartners.
Right.
What shocks me is I don't see any kindergartners in this room at all.
Point.
Okay? And I should point out to you, that man had to sign off on all of it, because they wouldn't have put it out if he hadn't agreed with it. Now, I am a private citizen. Okay? I am a private citizen. I do not have to condone this kind of nonsense. Okay? I have served my country for over 35 years. There's nobody in this room that I see that served it longer. I do not appreciate getting attacked, because again, I'm a private citizen. I do not appreciate getting assaulted, or I do not appreciate all the vets being assaulted. Because if it hadn't been for us, none of you would be here. You would be under law of the North Koreans or the Chinese or somebody like that. None of you are responsible unless you've served.
In a war.
In a war.
Excuse me? Those of us who served have a right to expect the respect that we earned, okay? We earned it by service. When you assault a chaplain, okay, you've assaulted every chaplain in the entire country. Now, I think you ought to write to the chaplain's corps, and ask them about that. I don't think they take that very lightly. The writers of this stuff are cowards. I agree with one thing that was said here today. They're cowards. I'm not a coward. I stand here in front of all of you, and I speak my piece. I don't hide behind anonymity. And those who hide behind anonymity are, in fact, cowards. And I'm calling you out as cowards. If any of you want to debate me in an open debate, and like they do in New England, a town hall meeting, I would be delighted to meet each and every one of you in that open debate. But be prepared for something you haven't seen before. Don't bother, by the way, those of you who don't have much use for us, don't bother thanking us for our service, because it's hollow. We know it's hollow. We can see it's hollow. Don't bother. Walk on by. We would prefer that than you who are being insincere thanking us for our service, because in fact, we don't want to hear it. It's just an insult, pure and simple. Now, I want to ask Mrs. Tully here for a letter explaining all these things that she read off on me, okay? And by the way, I want to point out to you again, I am a, say this loud, private citizen. You attacked a private citizen.
You attack me every meeting.
I didn't attack you. As a matter of
You
fact, I don't speak at the meetings. I video. So you're wrong there,
And
too.
you tell everyone I have skeletons. Those things that I talked
never
about,
said that. Prove
I didn't say they were you.
Prove it. Prove it. My 5 minutes is over. Thank you.
I just make one comment. Everything I stated is public record. Everything I stated is found in the Summit County court system. It was not one person's name added to any of those skeletons that he keeps talking about. It's everyone had a skeleton and owned one of those. Didn't say everybody owned them all. Go to Summit County Courthouse, check it out.
Let's go on.
Next on the list is Roy Metzel. Roy?
I'm Roy Metzel. I live on Smoke Rise Drive. And Mr. Havlicek, I thank you for your service. I served in the Army under John Kennedy.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Yes, but you said you never attack anybody. I've seen you up here attacking Joe Migliorini all over the place. And that section over there is very rude. A lot of times they're very rude. They talk when there's somebody's up there talking, and you know. So, you know, I thank you for your service, but hey, I was in the service too, but I don't flaunt it. I don't run around saying, hey, you know, look at me, I was in the service. I could have got killed too. I could have got killed just like anybody else.
35 years, sir.
No, I didn't have to serve 35 years. I served the term I was given, and that's what I served. And I trained those, I helped train those Cubans that went over for the Bay of Pigs. Under John Kennedy, we had a special group that just trained those. I was down in Fort Knox, Kentucky, training them. So I was in the service. My uncle was wounded, and he got a Purple Heart in the Second World War, and I know all about the service. So, you know, I thank you for it, but you know, I'm not going to sit and say, look at me, I'm great, you know, because I was in the service. And you were in there a long time, and God bless you for serving that long. But you know, that's besides the point. The point is, you know.
You know
This
what?
council is not getting along. I mean, we got two factions here. We got two factions, and, you know, they can't agree on much except simple items. As soon as something really important comes up, then it's a 3-2 vote every single time. Now, I don't know if these three, if they have their own mind, or they just fall in line with whatever, you know? But it seems like it's a 3-2. I'd like to see some 4-1s, 2-3s, whatever, three, you know, different, you know. But no, it's always the same. Yeah, they pass a lot of legislation that they have to pass to run the city, and that goes through every time. But as soon as the mayor says, "Oh, I want to appoint somebody to something," you forget it, and they're never going to get appointed. And if he makes any suggestions, that goes down to 2s. So that doesn't look like anybody's a team working together. And it makes me sick. I've been here all these 45 years, and it's like, you know, this is not, I used to live in Maple Heights, I was in Northfield Village, and those councils were different. I mean, you know, they seem to work together, but I don't know what's going on here, but I got a good idea, but, you know, I'm not gonna make any more waves or anything like that. And I really was mad when I got those things in my mailbox. Those cards, and he's right, they're cowards. These people are the worst cowards I ever seen. Because if you can put that in my mailbox, I want you to walk up to my house and say, hey, you know, here you go. You know, I mean.
My house, you don't have it.
Yeah, no, you probably have a gun, I ain't going over your house. No, and you know, this thing with the lawyer here, I mean, you know, I like Joe Deemer. I remember him way back 30, 40 years ago. You were probably with Bedford, Maple Heights, all those cities. I remember going to council meetings, and he was always there. And he did a great job, and I don't know what, all of a sudden, you know, there's a personality problem, so he don't get paid, you know? I mean, I don't know. That's not doing the city any good. Because with all the lawsuits and all the mess going on here, you got more work than ever. You know, and if you don't get paid for your work, hey, I would take a walk, you know? I mean, come on. You're not going to work for free. So I just hope you guys could, you know, and they talked about, you had the prayer at the beginning, everybody should do unto others. Well, I don't see some of these people doing unto others. I mean, you know, if that's what they want, we can attack them. You know, I mean, come on. You know, it's like, that's not the way we want to be. You know what I mean? So that's about all I got to say, and I just hope you guys take it to heart, and you can all work together, because I'd really like to see it, because this is a great city. We have a great future, a lot of stuff going on, and we want to get that park fixed up, and we want to do a lot of things and make it nice for everybody to come here and, you know, have a good time, people from other cities and everything. And that's the whole thing, you know, we want to draw people here, and and we'll prosper. But the way things are going, I don't know where we're gonna prosper. I think we're going in the tubes. Yeah, we're going, yeah, well, if you wanna say it that way, yeah. So that's it, and there's nobody after me, I think, so now you guys can do some real business.
All right, we have another speaker, George Plott. We got to have some decorum, folks, please.
You know, maybe we need a little levity in here tonight because, boy, I got one of those posters too. I actually have to confess I laughed when I saw the Wizard of Oz story and the cast that it showed, and the first thing I thought was, well, if I was appreciative that we were cast as the good guys, since Dorothy and Lion and the Tin Man, they were all the good characters in the Wizard of Oz, and then just joking, Joe, I thought, does that make you the Wicked Witch and your cast the Flying Monkeys? Because I was wondering, you know, how's that going to all fall out? But anyways, and I was only joking. Don't get mad, don't get all angry. Anyways, back to why I'm here. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, and again in the interview with the Cleveland Plain Dealer, numerous misrepresentations were made regarding the lawsuit with the city. And I would like to clear some of those up. Not all of them, but some of the more important ones. First of all, it was said that Frank Pla and I illegally split sublot 6 within the Parkview Estates subdivision. So the record shows that we came to the city and asked for a public planning commission meeting. The application was made to the building department, and Mr. Finney, Mr. Ladd, and Mayor Kuta collectively decided that it was a minor lot split and the planning commission meeting was not necessary. They approved the lot split because it was in conformance with the subdivision's declaration of covenants and deed restrictions, in conformance with local ordinance of Macedonia, and in conformance with the state laws of Ohio. It was the city's decision not to hold a hearing on the lot split. It's not something we controlled. Secondly, it's been said that the Parkview Estates Homeowners Association Board refused to approve our building plans for the construction of a single-family home on one of the newly created sublots. Again, that is not true. The evidence on the record shows that the Parkview Estates Board, consisting of Karen Spain, Joe Kowalski, and Tom Illig, and Bill Smith, approved our building plans. And the city, in fact, has a copy of those building plans in its possession. So that's certainly not true. Then an allegation was made that I caused 2 previous boards to resign. That, again, is not true. I know that the record shows in deposition transcripts that Mr. Illig, Mr. Mazzaro, Mr. Kowalski, and Mr. Hack resigned because in June of 2012, Mr. Migliorini went to the home of Mr. Illig and in a mother FU set of expletives in front of Mr. Illig's wife and the board members, caused them to resign by asserting grantor rights that were not his. And you don't have to believe me about that. That's in the deposition transcripts. Matter of fact, everything that I'm saying is on the record. So certainly, I don't know what happened with the second board, but I do know with that board, they resigned because of Mr. Migliorini's actions. Next, it's been said that I am suing the city and the homeowners associations for millions of dollars. Well, today, Farnhurst and Frank Pla are suing the city of Macedonia, Donald Kuta, Ken Martin, Joseph Deemer Jr., Thomas Hanslick, Michael Ladd, Nick Finney, and Joseph Miglerini. Mr. Miglerini knows that for over a year, we have asked the court, his attorney and him, to dismiss the Parkview Estates Homeowners Association Board, Tom Illick, Joe Kowalski, Vito Mazzaro, Jason Hack, Linda McClellan, and Larry Zalata. We have asked them on more than one occasion in writing, and because Mr. Miglerini and his attorney declined, we have petitioned the court. Thank you.
Last on the list is Joe Miglerini.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I got to give you my address because I just moved, by the way. I'm at, don't tell anybody where I moved. Well, I'm not in the other house. Well, you know what? Kurt's here, but Kurt's here. You know what's going to happen? You know, he's going to go to the Board of Elections again and get me, and you too, Joe. Might take me to the Ohio Elections Commission. We should be peaceful here and be very nice to each other. But did I interrupt you? Okay. All right. You know, at the last meeting, I didn't get a chance to address the remarks of George Pla. You know, here we have an individual that lied to the Homeowners Association, just frankly lied to them. Said that he bought this property contingent on a lot split. So we said, George, give us the copy of the contract. He couldn't provide us a copy of the contract, and because there's nothing in the contract that says it was contingent on a lot split. In fact, he files the deed, and he can't get the lot split. He has to go back to the previous owner. And Ferrara says, what are you here for? I don't know anything about this. He says it's for a lot split that I got from the city. He didn't even own the property when he came into the city. We've got a lot of issues here, folks, a lot of issues. And I am the president of the Homeowners Association in Parkview. And we have this individual who has sued our homeowners. And yes, just recently he's made an offer to dismiss some of the homeowners that were on the boards, since he's scared away 2 previous boards by threatening to sue them. That's why they all left. But he's also amending his complaint to try to do something over and above that. That's why it wasn't agreed to at this point in time. And I'm not going to get into all the issues there. But at the last meeting as well, George Pla stood up, along with Mrs. Hannigan, who has a piece of paper from an investigation that was occurring back in 1995 with the Ohio Ethics Commission. I only know that those allegations are the same allegations that exist today, where we continuously throw something out there to see if it sticks, to see whether or not the people are going to hear this and say, oh, Joe Miglerini was under investigation. Well, it was a complaint that was filed. And again, those complaints are just complaints. And by the way, Sylvia, you know who Bill Mason is? Sylvia?
So are you asking me?
Yeah, do you know who Bill Mason is? Yes.
I think you know who Bill Mason is.
I'm going to ask you, do you know who Bill Mason is?
I'm fully aware of the prosecutors, the one that has
Yeah,
replaced
the same.
in Cuyahoga County. I know.
Okay,
who he is.
so you know who he is. So the paper that
Jimmy
you,
DeMora's friend.
the one that you the one you waved the paper around, he's also endorsed me for mayor. So obviously he was the prosecutor that investigated this complaint and dismissed it.
Right.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
correct. Your supporter investigated you and dismissed the complaint.
I didn't know the guy. I never met the guy. I never met the guy before that day, Sylvia. Okay. Anyhow, we have an individual here, Mr. Pla. I just need to say this again. Multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the city.
against our homeowners association. He drained our accounts. He wasn't upfront with the homeowners. When he was asked, George, why didn't you come to the board? You were sitting on the board. Why didn't you tell the board members that you wanted to buy this property? He says, oh, it was such a great find. I didn't want to tell anybody. It was a great find, all right, George. That's what you told everybody and that's what you told Bill Smith. Yes. So anyhow, by the way, Mr. Havlicek, I think you said that back when I was 19 years old or whatever. By the way, today I'm 63 years of age. So today's my birthday. So, thank you. So, and this is where I am at. Anyhow, a lot of people have said a lot of good things here tonight, and one thing that is common amongst everybody, and that is we do need to bring peace back to the city. I mean, we do have way too much hatred. People are just doing things and saying things, and I know it's a campaign season. And by the way, I have to say I got one of those in my mailbox too with the Wizard of Oz. I just saw it today for the first time. And I don't condone it. I don't condone any of that. So, but I have to say that all of this propaganda that's out in this community, it's not healthy for our city. It's not healthy how it reflects on our city. You know, we're really a laughing stock out there in Northeast Ohio. You know, I'm the chairman of NOPEC and have been of the NOPEC Inc. side. And I have to tell you that I represent over 126, 136 communities in Northeast Ohio. And I got to tell you, every mayor that I run into says to me, what the heck is going on in your town? It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. We need to come together here, folks. I mean, this election is going to be over in about a week or two. I can't wait. But, you know, we really need to focus on what's for the city and for the people. Thank you.
All right, now we're coming to the meat part of the meeting.
He did not sign it.
Is he on the list? Can he come up and speak though, Don?
No, you gotta sign it. That's the-
Jan, are you the mayor? He didn't sign it. He wanted to stand up.
Moving on to pending and/or new legislation, starting with ordinance number 52, 2015.
Oh, wait, here he is. Right there.
Yeah, he is.
I had to go down
Come on
line
up,
by line.
Fred. This is Fred Quigley.
Go ahead. Make your comments now. Hi, Fred. And I loved you when you were in Maple Heights because I beat you. But anyhow,
Check out the city.
just plain Joe, no more, no less. Listen to Joe at one of the recent meetings, chastising, challenging Sylvia to be more honest, to avoid the attacks and be fair. I thought I was listening to a comedian. Regardless, I would like to say to Joe, you need to take your own advice. I can remember when you told council that I misinformed the council and the audience. He said that all the residents signed off on the rules and regulations and they followed the rules, and that they are nice people. Everyone gets along with each other, regardless of what Mr. Quigley says. What we did was called them together and brainwashed them. I call them lemmings, and they go right off the cliff, to go against me and discredit me in any way they can. He met with them in the garage on the other end of the street. That reminds me of Joe's picture in this 11-page thing that was published. Prevaricating and pontificating before the Board of Elections. The 11 pages that followed are enlightening. However, for me, the issue is not driver's license, per se, it was using the license to vote in both Florida and Ohio during the same year, a federal offense. I never did hear the disposition. Probably just another slap on the wrist by his cronies. And by the way, ironically, the very next word in the dictionary to cronies is crook. I have been in contact via the internet with Secretary of State, and maybe someday I will find out. But back to the issues of rules and regulations. According to the rules and regulations for the Villas of Carolina Association, Chapter 3, page 7, Item 21, commons are space preserved for scenic beauty. Chapter 6, page 2, Item B4, signs of any type are prohibited from being displayed on or from the part of the common areas of the development. Miglerini, the re-elect mayor, has his political signs along with others running in office supporting him all over the common areas. The association itself should be neutral. It should represent the entire community and not just one side. I am the only one in the whole development that has an opposition sign in my front yard, although I must admit there is only a very few proportionate posts that Miglerini.
I'll tell you what, Fred, let's give him another minute here. Please try and finish it up. Yeah, it was something else. It was a police call. Yeah.
It's not time.
Go ahead, Fred.
Okay. Therefore, I feel that the clutter along with the trash in the common areas based on the rules and regulations need to be removed. Therefore, I guess I should be incumbent upon me, if I am to be a responsible resident, to do clean up and remove all the clutter and the trash from the common areas. Now, back to the more serious problem. Joe does not care about seniors or those that are disabled. He only cares about his own self-esteem and bottom line. For example, my old next-door neighbor, when he came to this, when it came to his farce and his unsubstantiated ramblings about the flagpole, he says he has a fiduciary responsibility to the residents to make sure everyone complies and is a satisfied homeowner. Well, Al was not satisfied with the sanitary sewer system. A few other problems, and on top of that, trying to take care of a 37-year-old handicapped granddaughter. But he gets no help from fiduciary responsible man, Miglerini. The house is empty for over a year, and all Al gets is attorney's fees. Where is Joe's responsibility to Al and his family, who still owns the property here, and another where he lives now? I just keep, well, just 3 lines. Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Time's up. Fred, we've stopped other people. We've got to be fair. All right. All right, folks, we're going to do our business now. We're going to move on to pending and/or new legislation, starting with ordinance number 52, 2015. Can I have some order, please? Please. Ordinance number 52-2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 52, 2015 for its third reading by title only, please.
Second.
An ordinance amending section 37503 of the codified ordinances relating to snowmobiles, off-highway motorcycles, and all-purpose vehicles.
Mr. Mayor, before we adopt this, I'd like to make a motion that we amend Exhibit A. Mr. Demet, I've written this down, so if we don't get it all right, I'll hand it to you afterwards. In section B1, each property owner must obtain a permit per property, which will then allow off-road vehicle. Number 2, off-road operation permit shall be obtained and administered by the police department. all sentences and words after that removed. Section 3, where it says no splitting of time will be allowed, it will be amended to say splitting of time will be allowed. Number 4, an off-road vehicle can be operated within 10 feet from street, roadway, and sidewalk, amending that from 25 feet. Say a prayer. And then in number 12, where it talks about operation of an off-road vehicle in violation, at the end of that paragraph, one statement shall be added that says a reinstatement fee of $25 will be assessed.
Second to the amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, now, before I offer it, there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of compromises on this. And I want to, first of all, thank the residents who came forward and took their personal time to try and come to some agreements that would be workable from all sides. We had people who were the complainants, we had people who were the violators, and this is an attempt to put together something that can be, first of all, enforced, and it's fair and equitable. So I want to say thank you to them for doing that. They've also brought up, Chief, that we probably need to also look overall at our noise ordinance and our nuisance ordinance to see if there's anything there that maybe it's time to take a relook at that. With that being said, I make a motion that we pass and post according to law, ordinance number 52, 2015.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Just a brief statement. I've struggled with this one because I think when you pay for your piece of property, you should be able to do whatever you want on it, as long as you're not, harassing your neighbors or doing something that's out of line or malicious. I know that when my family moved here from Garfield Heights, obviously we had a postage stamp lot to having an acre. That was like the Mecca. We didn't know what to do with ourselves. We ran around and rode bikes, and Dad bought us a mini bike, and that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I hate regulating it, but I think through much conversation with this council, we've got it to a point where we can address some of the major issues where people are having some really bad problems and still allow kids to have a little bit of fun. I don't think that's such a bad thing, so yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance number 52-2015 passes. I would like to recognize three people right now. Paul Coppage, Tracy, Dave, wherever you are, could you please stand for a second? These people took time away from their evenings and helped make this happen. Thank you. All right, moving on to ordinance number 125, 2015.
Mayor, I offer ordinance 125, 2015 for its second reading by title only.
An ordinance creating new chapter 182 of the codified ordinances of Macedonia, and that should be Ohio, not Ojai, regarding municipal income tax.
Moving on.
Mr. Mayor, before we go on.
Yes.
Council had discussed a
potential meeting.
And so why don't we announce that? I know it's got to be approved by Rita, but I don't remember the date. Do you
It's
remember?
November 19th.
November 19th at 6 o'clock, if anybody's interested.
Well, we don't have a time yet. It's a potential meeting with a Rita official.
Right, we're trying to
post
work
the
it out
time.
with Rita, which is
It's
the
a would
Regional
be a-
Income Tax Association.
It would be a work session.
All right, thank you.
This is very important, folks. The main source of revenue for our city is city income tax. And this is the state putting its toe in the door to start to take control of our collecting city income tax. I'd hate to see what would happen if someday the mayor of this city has to call the governor of Ohio and say, "Where's our check?" It's not a good thing. All right, we believe in home rule. We want to be able to take care of our residents and not have to wait until we get the okay by the state. This is a highly controversial bill That's why it might be worth your while to come to the meeting, to listen to the people from the Regional Income Tax Agency talk about how this could someday stifle us. Because without city income tax, that means we have to go to property tax. And so far, we've held our property tax since 1962, thereabouts. So this is very, very important. Moving on to resolution number 127, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer resolution number 127, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the Summit County Fiscal Office.
And what's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post resolution number 127, 2015 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar,
Yes.
and Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Moving on to ordinance number 128, 2015.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 128, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing that funds currently allocated in the Recreation Department be transferred between accounts within that department.
And what's your pleasure?
I have one quick question. When I went through where we were at the end, I believe this is the September report, Angela, there also was a concern, your computer maintenance is at 95%. Do you not anticipate having any additional?
No, that includes a purchase order that has unencumbered funds on it to get us through the end of the year. And then we have some capital purchases going towards upgrading a new server. So we should be fine.
Because you caught all the other ones.
Yeah.
Thank you. With that being said, thank you. I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 128, 2015, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar,
Yes.
and Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to ordinance number 129, 2015.
Mayor, I offer ordinance 129, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance appropriating a fund transfer from general funds to the Service Department for various upcoming expenses as itemized.
And what's your pleasure?
Move that we pass.
Uh-oh,
We have to amend, right?
yeah,
Oh, we have to amend it.
yeah,
Sorry about that.
I'm a little jumpy, sorry.
okay.
I'd like to amend General Fund 101, 311, 5500 to $10,146.31.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, what's your pleasure?
Now I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance 129, 2015.
Second.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar,
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Moving on to ordinance number 130, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 130, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance appropriating a fund transfer from the general fund to police department allowance fund to adjust a negative, it should be clothing allowance. It's not their allowance. It should be clothing allowance fund to adjust a negative balance.
And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 130, 2015, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar,
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Are there any other motions or legislative actions this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence from the clerk.
I just have one, sir. This is in regards to the police department. Dear sirs, my husband and I were in an automobile accident. It was my fault, but a very nice and courteous patrolman, Nick Zabel, came to our help, and he was very sweet and courteous. We appreciated his kindness and his reassurance that everything was going to be okay. Both my husband and I are handicapped, and his kindness and caring was very much appreciated. A big thank you to him and the entire police department, Miss Sandra Millen, and she is a Macedonia resident.
Very good. Are there any other correspondence?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on to the mayor's report. In just 12 days, our city's future will be decided. This is actually my last official meeting. The next meeting, I promise not to walk and talk like a lame duck, but I will be. It's been a great pleasure being your mayor. I feel very happy to have had that opportunity. Thank you very much. Please vote on Tuesday, November 3rd, and search your soul and your mind to try and find the right answer. I would like to wish everyone a safe and happy Halloween. We're going to celebrate it on the 31st of October, which is a Saturday. And that concludes my report. Moving on to wow. If only my mother could see that. Yes.
Yes.
Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Yes, Mayor, the JED had intended to meet yesterday, but we did not have a quorum, so I believe we will be rescheduling.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to department reports, and we're going to start with you tonight, Mike.
Thanks, Mayor. Commercial update, new construction, we have 10 occupancies, been 188 this year for commercial. Alterations, 95. Those occupancies, it says 188, it sounds high. That's mainly those apartments with Enclave. So there's a lot of units that we're giving occupancies to, so that number is way up this year. Residential update, home starts this year, we have 22. Homes under construction, we have 25. Additions, 9, 40 alterations. The zoning update, zoning's really busy. We've really increased this. We have 384 point of sales this year so far. That surpassed any year that I've been involved with Macedonia. So there's been a lot of movement with home sales. And 395 contractors registered. Planning update, next planning commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 16th at 5:30. The submittal deadline is Friday, October 30th. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Would you like to touch a little bit on Sioux or Shepherd Hills culvert, or you want me to?
No, I can certainly do that.
All right.
I'm also gonna post everything. Nick is on vacation, apologize. He will be back on Monday. We are putting the engineering update on Macedonia website where anybody could see it. Everybody's aware that Shepherd is closed, South Shepherd. The Sioux culvert, the engineering is completed, and we're waiting for the easements to take place. And Our Lady of Guadalupe retention basin engineering is complete as well. And we have to work out some details on either if we're gonna buy the property or if we're gonna be leasing the property from them.
So those are all good things, but they're taking forever. That's that
Well,
worst
we always
part.
do. We could still get the construction on Our Lady Guadalupe and Sioux culvert this year.
Good.
So would the feeling be that construction on any of that wouldn't happen this year?
I think we could get started this year. I think we can if everything moves quickly enough, so.
Okay.
I have a question concerning the engineering study. What is the status of that for the Ledge Road, North Bedford area?
They're still working on it. The resident notification letters were sent out in the week of September the 28th. Project is currently in the survey and data collection, and we're anticipating this to be completed by November 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Angela?
Thank you, Mayor. We have one of our quarterly health team events scheduled for Saturday, October 31st at the Recreation Center from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. If you have not attended one of these, they're a wonderful opportunity to meet with fitness instructors, personal trainers, massage therapists. We'll have demos, body fat screenings, spinal screenings. We have a lot of different activities going on during these events. So that is scheduled for October 31st, and we hope that people will come out and participate in that. On October 31st at 10:30 a.m., we have a free Halloween Zumba class. If you can conduct yourself and do Zumba in a costume, more power to you, but you are encouraged to wear a costume to that. Save a Life Saturday, we have American Red Cross recertification for adult, infant, child CPR, AED, and first aid scheduled on Saturday, November 7th from 11 to 4 p.m. That you do need to register for. And once again, just a reminder, our Nordonia Hills Winter Craft Show is scheduled for Saturday, November 14th from 9 to 2 at Lee Eaton Elementary. We encourage people to come out and browse, and we are also accepting applications for booth spaces, should you wish to do that and participate in that event. And that is all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim would normally be next, but we all know where he went with all those sirens. I would like to mention that we do have the annual Halloween party for the fire department coming up this weekend. It will be on Sunday.
Yes.
It will be at what time, Josephine?
4 to 6.
4 to 6 p.m. So all the little trick-and-treaters and the big ones too are invited. All right, moving on to John. What do you have for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm frequently in contact with ODOT, reference to two projects we have going on, 271 and the Phase 382. I just sent an email to Brian Dell today, who's doing the 271 project, and I asked him about the street signs on the masts, South Bedford and South Freeway Drive and 82. He says they're going to put those up. I asked him about cleaning the road because there seems to be some dust, gravel, little pebbles on the road. He said a contractor will be sweeping Route 82 first thing in the morning. I asked him about the update for the off-ramp to 82, which has been closed for about 21 days-ish, something like that. And according to him today, we are still on schedule for them opening the ramp on time. So that was, I believe, a 30-day window, Mike? Yeah, 30 days. So great work with Brian Dell at ODOT. I also talked with Alec Pack, who's doing the Phase 3 project. The city asked for help with the intersection of Shepherd and 82, and they got us a temporary signal for turn arrow for those going north on Shepherd Road. So I'm very pleased with the cooperation we get from ODOT. It's fantastic. Both the gentlemen I work with answer me back right away, and virtually everything we ask for, they take care of if it's very reasonable. So the projects are on schedule, and I'm hoping to get that ramp open because it is diverting additional traffic to Route 8, which then comes on to Highland, which we all know Highland is very packed, and additional traffic, comes down North Bedford Road, and that's already has additional traffic from the Ledge Road Bridge being closed. So hopefully we'll see that ramp open within a week and a half-ish, and that should eliminate a lot of problems that folks are having getting around town. And I'm happy that they're giving us that turn arrow up at Shepherd Road. So ODOT's doing a fantastic job. They seem to do everything we ask, so I'm very pleased with that. So that's all
It's
I
a
have.
tough time. Thank you for working on it constantly. Joe?
No report, Mayor.
All right, we're going to move on to any unfinished business.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to actually have 4 points I need to touch on. First being ODOT. I've had a lot of questions about the project going in and around town and why we're doing so many different projects at once. And I'm trying to explain to most people that a lot of times they plan these things and ODOT kind of works to the beat of their own drum. We can't really control when they're going to do things. We try to work with them, but unfortunately we've got some growing pain, folks. It's gonna be like this for a little while, so please bear with it. Another hot topic is Sue. I've been accused of procrastinating and not, the city's not doing their job. There's a lot of things that went into that, and I'm sure Mike could elaborate on that too, but there's a lot of hands that have to touch that, and there's sanitaries that run through there, the Army Corps of Engineers, engineering needs to be done. A lot of folks think that the engineering, and someone at some point said, why would we spend all this money engineering? Well, that's how you do things the right way. I mean, we could just slap a culvert pipe in there and hope for the best, but that's not how it works. In today's day and age, you gotta be careful, you gotta do it the right way, have it engineered. That's why we do that. Villa Lago, in the last meeting I was gonna allude to it, there's been some concerns about the trucks going down there with the Jake brake. I don't know if everyone's aware, a lot of trucks nowadays have a Jake brake built into them. So when they slow down, it makes that loud rumbling sound, but the older ones with the stick shift, they downshift, and that's when you hear that loud motor sound. We're gonna try and address that. I can't say that we're gonna enforce it, but we did put up a no Jake brake sign. I've worked with the police chief, and we're gonna do our best to try and alleviate that a little bit. I can't guarantee it's gonna happen all the time, but we're gonna work on that. We're gonna find other ways to try and alleviate that problem. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least touch on my postcard. The only thing I really want to say about this is, think about this when you're doing this kind of stuff. My 8-year-old pulled this out of the mailbox and came up very, very upset. That hurts. I mean, you could say what you want about me. I'm a man, I got broad shoulders, but be very careful and think about when you do things like this, because it's not just the person or the candidate, it's the family.
Thanks. Is there any new business this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a few items here. A couple things I want to say. I do not respond to anonymous postcards, either those against me or those against anybody else. And I think it's unreasonable to try to respond to those things because you don't have any knowledge of who's involved or what's going on. And of course, we've been ridiculed in the characteristic flyer, and I know there have been other people that have been made fun of. But when I'm responding to things, I wouldn't have enough time in the day to see all the kinds of things that are going on here. What I'm telling you is when I do respond through my Facebook site or through my website, it's strictly for things that have been said that are untrue about me. And there have been a lot of things said that are untrue, and I've corrected those and tried to make sure that people are aware of what I have and have not done. But as far as being able to control the kind of behavior that went on here tonight, you can't. People come up here, they attack you, you simply have to sit through it. There is no way that this kind of behavior is justified. There's been a long-term campaign here to attack council members over whether or not they are sufficiently supportive. We have had the best budget we've ever had in terms of roads and stormwater. We've done a lot of things together. We've had disagreements. The mayor wanted to have an income tax increase, and that was blocked. And that was a 3-2 vote. What I'd like to point out to people is that there are reasons why there are disagreements, but most of the time we can work these things out. We did tonight on the ATV ordinance, which was a very complex and difficult problem to solve. We have done that most times. I think when we talk about who we've supported in terms of commissions, we have pretty much, for example, Mr. Hopkins was put on the Planning Commission, and he was the mayor's campaign manager. And that was a 5-0 vote. There are differences of opinion sometimes, and those things do not need to lead to the scenes that we saw tonight. However, we are in the middle of a campaign. There's been constant campaigning from the comments area for the last 6 weeks. And people have said things that are untrue or are totally distorted. So you are going to get reactions, but my general principle is this. If I've done something, then I have, everything that I've ever done has got my name on it, number one. Number two, if somebody else does something that I don't approve of, but it's not directed at me, then that has to be dealt with, but not by me. And the third thing is that when bad things are said about me that are untrue, I have to respond and do. So that's my only comment tonight.
Just before we move on, I'd like to talk about this. This is a piece of road that a resident brought to a meeting, and I keep it here in front of me. And he said, Mayor, why don't you put something on the ballot that will generate funds to fix our roads? All council had to do was pass the proposed city income tax that was going to be designated for roads and stormwater, so it couldn't be touched for anything else, and you would have voted on it. But you never got that chance. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Not yet.
Oh,
I
any
have
other new business?
I have city business. that I
Okay.
wanna- This isn't politics, this is city business. I have a concern that I went through the September expense report, and we have taken care of several of the departments tonight. But there are some others in here that have concern in the fact that in the administrative support, we're at 100% for senior citizens programs, auditors' fees, I'm over budget. Then there's some unusual thing I've never seen before that talks about the Akron Law Library. Never heard of that. We're over budget there. And then when I get into street maintenance and repair, we have a lot of them that are at 95%. We still have 2 months to go. When we're sitting, and this is part of the issue when you do a line item budget, I have to move money in councilmatic action to be able to pay those bills. So, that's reading this, the first thing I always do is say, how many months do we have to go? So we got about 20% more to go. When I'm sitting at 95 and 100 and I'm over on some, we have an issue here. So Mayor, I will send these off to Diana in the morning so we can get some for the next meeting. Then the other thing is, what I wanted to say last time is I would like to propose after this election is all over, that council looks again at stopping healthcare offerings for city council. The reason I bring that up is the offering for healthcare is to full-time employees. City council members are part-time, and we're elected officials. We are not employees. Therefore, I do not believe that we should have the same offering. And thing is, I don't believe anyone takes it, but I get a check because I don't take it. And any of you in the private sector know there's a whole indication of, with the whole get yourself feeling better, it takes down the cost, and then we reimburse you if you don't take it. That, we got better places to spend that money. The other thing I would also like to consider is to stop the council discount for the rec center. I'm probably the one who uses it the most. I'm part-time, and I'm not an employee. And last but not least, I wanted to say this last week. If you have never read Brianna Barker's Reporter Fed Up with the Peanut Gallery, please do so. It fits, and Brianna and I spoke. It isn't just here. It is all the communities that she covers. It's outrageous how we treat each other with the lack of respect. The prayer this today said it, and I think we all need to live it. But if you don't have it, I kept it. And Brianna, if we have any permission, I'd love to have this put on the website. Thank you.
Are there any other new business reports? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
All right, guys, we'll see you.
Ms. Darrow. Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan. Mr. Mulner.
Get a discount for a rep, but a veteran, you won't give a discount.
They passed it. Yeah, they passed that discount. Like long before, you know what? When you